Hi everyone, it's Liam here from Rating the Races. So I'm going to do a Cheltenham review. I'm not going to go over every race. I'm not going to go over every horse because I think some of the races, the best horse won. Particularly like the Gold Cup, the best horse won that race. There was a tiny little bit to talk about, but there was other races that the best horse won. The right horses were behind. There's nothing really that interesting in terms of going forward, which is what our videos are generally about. We're trying to look at horses, where they might end up, handicapped horses that didn't quite get the rub of the green. Talking about what happened on the day. Everyone saw what happened on the day, so there's no point going over, how it worked out, which for me is a bit of a waste of time. I do want to talk about the Supreme Novice, though, because I'm hoping Constitution Hill actually goes over fences. Now, I know Michael Buckley has suggested that Constitution Hill might take on Honeysuckle at Punchestown, and also that they might stay over hurdles. Blue Bressil Progeny have a much better record over fences than they do hurdles. And also, if you look at Nicky's recent record, those that have gone up include Altior, Shishkin, Sprinter Sacra. They're proper 2 mile top quality chasers. Okay, you could say, well, he kept Bouvoudère over hurdles, granted. I just think there's so much more improvement still to come from Constitution Hill over fences, more so than what he'll get out of John Bon. And Constitution Hill would win the Arkle next year if he ran in it, whereas I wouldn't be as confident John Bon will. I think John Bon actually needs a bit further. So that's just a thought about the Supreme Novice. I hope Constitution Hill goes over fences. Looking at the Arkle, Edward Stone won it. Yeah, he was probably the best horse on the day. I wasn't interested in that race. I didn't think there's nothing there for me to work on going forward. The Ultima, the only horse that actually caught my eye here was the winner, Correct Rambler, and I'm hoping that they save him for the Grand National, not the Scottish National. Obviously, Lucinda Russell is Scottish, or Scottish-based trainer, so she could aim at the Scottish National. I hope she doesn't. I hope she waits, runs in the Beecher Chase, and does a one for Arthur campaign next season with Correct Rambler. Champion Hurdle was won by the best horse. She was very good again, Honeysuckle. Rachel Blackmore's timing of her rides is just brilliant. That's where she excels. Her tactical knowledge is brilliant. Epatante ran on well for second, and Zanahir probably proved he was the best 5-year-old from last season when finishing third. The Mares Hurdle, I didn't see anything really. I know people have suggested that Mrs. Milner was unlucky. Possibly. I don't think that was the strongest Mares Hurdle. Well, it wasn't the strongest Mares Hurdle. There's no Benny Didier, Annie Power, Roxana. I think Roxana would have beaten all of those if she'd been in it from when she used to run in Mares Hurdles. I don't think that's a strong Mares Hurdle at all. The Boodles Juvenile, Gaelic Warrior I wanted to talk about. I wonder whether they'll keep him for the Supreme next year now. They had talked about him pre-Juvenile Hurdle, handicap here, that they might save him for next year's Supreme Novice. Well, they still can. He's been beaten. He's still a novice. I just wonder whether they might look at that angle now and not bother running again, or possibly running in the Grade 1 at Punchestown. And if it gets beat, then they can go for the Supreme Novice next year. Second season novice with a good horse. It's not a second season novice because it's a useless horse. Just something to think about there. I wonder whether they'll save Gaelic Warrior for the Supreme next year. From the 3 mile 5 furlong race, nothing was interesting there. Statler won it. He was very impressive. I think he needs to significantly improve if they want to think about a Gold Cup next year with him. Moving on to the Ballymore on the Wednesday. I'm hoping Sir Gerhard drops back in trip and goes for the Champion Hurdle. The way they'd been talking about his jumping, saying he hurdles really well, almost suggests that that's where they already think they were already aiming Sir Gerhard, was at the Champion Hurdle. He hurdled much better here. I think once they are confident with his hurdling, he'll be back over 2 mile next time, I'm sure. They just didn't want to take on Dysart Dynamo. And if Constitution Hill does take on Honeysuckle at Punchestown. So Gerhard could have another penalty kick in whatever 2-mile novice he runs in, because I think he'll beat Dysart Dynamo. Moving on to the Brown Advisory. All I've written down here is a Hoisin. Once he sorts his jumping, I think he's going to go very, very close to winning. I think he can go well in the Gold Cup next year. All they've got to do now is sort out his jumping. The rest of him is good, but he lost by 3.5 lengths, and I reckon he lost 6 or 7 lengths over the fences. L'Homme Presse was very good. A Hoisin just kept getting in close, just kept going up rather than forward. As soon as they get his jumping sorted, I think he goes really, really close. In subsequent Grade 1s, you could look at like the Ladbroke Trophy with him. Not the King George, no point going to Kempton. But look at those types of races, maybe something at Cheltenham beforehand. We also had the Coral Cup. Anything from this race? Nope. Nothing interested me there. Champion Chase, Energumene won it. Shishkin will come back for the Champion Chase next year. I've already advised Shishkin for the Champion Chase at 6s. I don't think he can get that anymore. They were never going to step him up and trip. That just because he pulled up. It's not like he ran on and couldn't keep up with Energumene. He ran a terrible race. Summit was obviously a miss. The Champion Chase is where he'll be back. Energumene won it. The rest of them just aren't good enough for Champion Chases. Delta Work beat Tiger Roll. I was really pleased with Jack Kennedy there. I thought it was a great ride. I think he's been harshly moaned at. I think some of the suggestions that the owners were stupid and out of order for not letting Tiger Roll win. What a ridiculous statements they are. You don't let another horse win a race. Don't care whether he's won 2 Grand Nationals. You don't, make it a proper race. If you've got something else that can beat it, run in it. They didn't know Tiger Roll was definitely going to bounce back to form, and the heavy going, could well have scuppered him. Delta Work, best horse in the race, won it well. They were miles clear of Plan of Attack, who should be interesting back in those handicaps at the end of the year. Grand Annual, I've got 2 that I want to talk about here, and both of those we were on. Frero Bamboo surely needs to step up and trip. He's lightly raced. I just want to see him go up in trip. And for pleasure, went off 7-1 after being advised at 25s. Was absolutely smashed up just before the off. Didn't get to the front like they normally do, and things all went wrong, and he pulled up. The fact that he got absolutely smashed from 25s into 7s, do keep your eye on for pleasure. Hopefully they stick to handicaps with for pleasure. Final race was the bumper on that day. Facile Vega was a good winner. American Mike was good in second. James Gates surely goes for the Ballymore next year. I think they've had City Island and Longhouse Poet both running that. The owners. That's where he'll run. And the 2 in front of him, they both trainers and jockeys thought they were going to win that with Facile Vega and American Mike. He's probably been beaten by 2 very, very good horses. Moving on to the Thursday, Bob Ollinger won, but was never at the races. Galopin de Champs was going to absolutely, beat him comfortably. Was he beating him comfortably because he was just so good? Or was he beating him comfortably because Bob Ollinger was not having a good day and it was not a going day for Bob Ollinger? What you could say, though, is if you took Galopin out and let Bob Ollinger just run along gently towards the front and then finish strongly rather than actually chasing after the winner, he comfortably beats El Barrett and Bustleton. Now, I know he should. They were massive prices. I just think Galopin de Champs was very, very good. I don't think Bob Ollinger was... I don't think he ran poorly. I think he ran to his ability, and Galopin de Champs was just that much better than him that it made him look average. But I don't think he was. The Pertemps Final. Third Wind won it, getting up from Alaphilippe. Both of them are probably graded horses. Winter Fog was well handicapped. Mill Green I liked. I I think the horse to take out the race, got to be honest, Vic. He's gone for home way too early. Richard Patrick's got that wrong. He's gone for home too early. He went 1.6 in the run. Interesting that 5 of them went odds on in the run, with obviously only with the one winner. But yeah, gone way too early. I'd be targeting all about that race again next year. Maybe look at going back over fences, but yeah, keep your eye on Honest Vic for this handicap, this Pertemps Final next year. The Ryanair, won by Allaho, very impressive. He's just the best horse over that trip, isn't he? Shambler surely goes for handicap next time. Stayers, I think the right type of horses were in the finish. Flooring Porter was given a great ride. Time Hill and Paisley Park, Champ just behind. Classical Dream possibly didn't stay the full trip. The right horses were there. Not a lot to talk about. Cool Cody beat Imperial Alcazar. Cool Cody loves Cheltenham, doesn't he? Great run. A good run from Imperial Alcazar, considering he's still improving. Spirit of the Games was just really well handicapped. Of those behind, nothing really. Celeb Dalen could have been, but he is 10 already. It's not like he's a 6-year-old with just the 5 UK runs under his belt. The Mayor's Novice, I think the best horse on the day won. Nurse Susan is the one that I'm still interested in. Dropping into a handicap. I think there's a Mayor's handicap that she can win. And the final race of the day was our massive 72.43 top-rated winner in Chambard. Mr. Coffee, very unlucky. He got hampered at the second, I think it was, the second or third, and he dropped so far back, and Sam had to get him back into contention. He's then travelled like he was going to win. You can see another one. He went 1.6 in the run. Travelled like he was going to win and didn't pick up when asked. I still think there's more to come from him, and I will be looking at him next season for a big handicap. Don't give up on Mr. Coffee. Final day, Vauban was the best horse on the day, clearly. Fildor ran a cracker for second. Piper finished third. The right horses were at the front. I think the interesting one here was Il Était Temps, ridiculously keen. I don't want to see them going over, could go over fences, but I hope they target a big handicap somewhere with Il Était Temps. Don't think Champion Hurdle is just a silly option. We then had the County Hurdle. State Man was thrown in, wasn't he? Which you could probably mark up First Street. He split a thrown-in Irish horse and Colonel Mustard, who had chased home Sir Gerhard and Three Stripe Life at Punchestown, Leopardstown, and that form had been franked in the Ballymore. West Cork again was also probably franked that form because he'd been saved for this race, so you could mark up First Street there, I think. The Albert Bartlett, the nice guy won it. Nella Kakuna was far too keen. Nothing really from me there. The Gold Cup, Robbie Power definitely went too soon on Manila Indo, but it wouldn't have made any difference. Their respective form at the Cheltenham Festival now for the pair of them, Aplutara and Manila Indo, is brilliant. I think Manila Indo is 1-2-1-2, and Aplutara is 3-1-2-1, or maybe 1-3-2-1. The concern for next year, I don't think Aplutara is going to get such a slowly run race. I think you'll find there'll be better horses in this race next year, so I wouldn't be jumping on Aplutara to win next year. I think that it'll be a different race next year. I think Aplutara beats all of these again next year, but there's a few others coming through, potentially Brave Man's Game, Lompress, Ahoy Senor, Monkfish. There's a few there. You'd imagine Willie Mullins will be very keen to get Monkfish there, having not won this for a few years now. The Fox Hunters, Billaway, was it a great ride? He did get a 4-day ban afterwards for overuse of the whip. It's those sort of situations that you're like, he won, but should he get chucked out for overuse of the whip? You know, he broke the rules and is allowed to keep the race. Interesting debate. The mare's chase, Ellie Mae, didn't she try? She didn't beat it wasn't the greatest of fields though. Like Pink Legend, Scarlet and Dove, she should be beating those. Concertisa's probably ran a bit flat, and Mount Ida was disappointing and probably found this too short. Final race, there was one that caught my eye. Party Business for Ian Williams. I thought that was a very encouraging run. Hampered twice, still weaved his way through in the final straight, finishing fifth. Reminded me straight away of the Boss's Oscar, who also finished fifth in this race before finishing second in the Pertemps Final. That's where I hope, excuse me, that's where I hope they target Party Business. I think there's a 2 mile 5 race they can look at next, then go up to 3 mile for a qualifier, and then go to the Pertemps Final. So there's a few thoughts from Cheltenham. I will go over more when the handicap marks. I've got to go and look at them all up and discuss them or work out where I would go with those horses that catch my eye.